Welcome to the Ultimate Body Language Guide, lesson number 2. In today's video, we're going to go over everything there is to know about the hands and fingers. All of this information is taken directly from the Dictionary of Body Language by Joe Navarro. Please support him and his work by checking out his book. Now, before we get started, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the people who helped fund the production of this video, CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream is like the documentary version of Netflix. They have thousands of streamable documentaries and non-fiction TV shows on topics like history, nature, science, food, travel, and much, much more. I often go on their platform and watch documentaries about the universe, which helps me relax whenever I'm feeling stressed. Go to www.curiositystream.com/pill to sign up for just $14.99 for the entire year. That's right, it's not $14.99 per month, it's $14.99 for the whole year, which means you're paying close to just $1 per month to gain access to thousands of high-quality documentaries. I highly recommend you to check it out. With that being said, let's begin. Touch and status. Higher status people tend to touch lower status people more often as compared to the other way around. For example, your boss is more likely to tap your shoulder as compared to you tapping his. You can use this to figure out the social hierarchy in any given situation. Touch and relationships. If someone is touching another and also getting touched back, this is a sign of high levels of comfort between the two people. This is usually seen amongst family, best friends, and couples. If all of a sudden you notice that two people are no longer touching back and forth, this is usually a sign that something is wrong within the relationship. Hands on hips with thumbs back, also known as arms akimbo. This is a dominance display, something often used by military drill instructors and other people in positions of authority. This means that the person is ready and alert. They have something they like to say, or they have an issue in mind. According to Joe Navarro, an airline assistant once told him that customers who display this body language sign while waiting in line almost always have some sort of complaint. Territorial hand display. This is when someone takes up a lot of space on a table or desk with their hands. This is usually a form of intimidation and can often be seen when people fight with the cashier at the store. The angrier the person is, the more space they'll take up. Pushing away from table. This is when someone suddenly extends their arm and pushes their body away from the table or counter that they are sitting at. This is a very clear indicator that this person disagrees with what's being said or feels threatened. The quicker this happens, the stronger the emotions they are feeling. Playing with objects. This is when someone plays around with something using their hands. It can be almost any object, including things like phones, jewelry, and even pens. This form of body language is known as a pacifier, meaning that it helps people relieve stress, although it is often used to pass time. Surrogate touching. Technically, this is also when someone plays with objects in their hands. However, depending on the context of the situation, it could mean something totally different. You see, when someone wants to physically be intimate with the person that they're currently with, they will often transfer those wishes onto an object nearby. You might find them stroking a cup or playing with their pen in a sort of seductive manner while they're with the person that they like. In these cases, this form of body language is a form of flirting. Object placement. People who surround themselves with objects are claiming the space as territory. This is actually a concept that I spoke about in a previous video of mine that goes over how you can increase your levels of confidence by claiming more space. Object placement can also tell you how someone feels about you. If someone is feeling good, they will often clear away any objects that are between you and them. On the other hand, if things are bad, if they don't enjoy interacting with you, they will often move objects so that it creates a barrier. Distancing from objects. This is another form of object placement. If someone is moving something away from them, like a bowl of chips at the dinner table, it's usually a sign that they have negative feelings towards that object. In this case, they might be on a diet. According to Joe Navarro, he's often observed criminals pushing away pieces of evidence, such as photos, once they realize that it's them in the photo. Hand steepling. This is when someone places the fingertips of their hands together, like those evil villains you see in movies. This is a sign of confidence and is most commonly seen by those in power. There are modified versions of the steeple where the hands are interlaced, or bent and still touching. This body language sign is often used to show others that you have full belief in what you are saying. Palms up. This is when someone speaks with their palms up, often seen in TED Talks. This is used by people who want to be accepted or believed. It's basically a way of saying, my hands are clean, I got nothing up my sleeves, I am at your command. This can also be used to demonstrate humility. Palms down. This is when someone makes a downward movement with their palms facing down. This is usually done on a table, but it is also sometimes seen in the air. And it's usually done when someone is declaring something with conviction, such as, I did not do it. The stronger the movement, the more likely they are being honest with what they are saying. Hand movement restriction. Studies have found that when people lie, they will use their hands and arms less, as they are trying to seem less suspicious. However, this is also seen with people who are simply shy or anxious, which is why it's always important to be on the lookout for sudden changes. If someone who usually moves their arms a lot suddenly stops moving while making a claim, the chances of them having doubts about what they are saying are much higher as compared to someone who doesn't move their hands much to begin with. Hand wringing. This is when someone rubs or squeezes parts of their hands, sort of like how you would wring a towel dry. This is a sign of negative emotions such as anxiety, doubt, or stress. Finger holding. This is when you hold your own finger, usually in front of you. This is a sign that someone is feeling a bit insecure, as it is a pacifying movement designed to comfort us. Jittery hands. This is when someone's hands are shaking. This could be because they are feeling extremely excited or stressed, such as right after a traumatic moment, but it could also indicate that they have some sort of disorder. It could be drugs or some severe disease. Hand thrust to face. This is when someone shoves the palm of their hand close to someone's face, sort of like saying, "Talk to my hand." This is basically a way of saying stop, no, and is also used when trying to insult someone. Self-touching while answering. This is when someone uses their hands to make any of the pacifying movements while answering a question. They could be using their hands to stroke their other hand, arms, or even legs, all of which are usually signs that they are not that confident in their answer. Interlace fingers with thumbs up. This is when someone's hands are laced together with their thumb pointing up. This usually indicates high levels of confidence, very similar to that of the hand steepling movement that we covered earlier. Interlace fingers with thumbs down. On the other hand, if they are in the same position but their thumbs are pointing down, this is usually an indicator that they are not as confident or that they are currently feeling some negative emotions. You can actually observe people's thumbs going up and down during interactions, which can give you some insight on how they are currently feeling or how much confidence they currently have in what they are saying. In order to practice your body language reading skills, I recommend you rewatch this video with the audio turned off while covering the text and see if you can tell how the actors are currently feeling. We've gone over 21 different movements, which is actually only half of all the movements for the fingers and hands. Now, because there are so many, I've decided to split this video into two, as I believe it might be too much information for you to take in all at once. The moment the second video is released, I will add a link in the description box below. Also, make sure you've watched the previous video on the legs and feet, which I will link to as well. Besides that, guys, stay tuned.